welcome back to the channel. Today, front subframes and the front work continues. Welcome back. Today, my name's Mouse, and today what we are doing is we are tightening up the front end of it. Basically, we're going to drop the subframe and basically go around everything we've put in and basically reinforce it with some tacks just to get it a bit more stable. Let's get cracking. So, as you just saw, just dropped the front subframe, and as I've dropped it, I've noticed one of the tacks is broken on this side of the car. So, it's quite an easy one to fix. So basically, I'm just going to tack it up and basically go from there. What I'm going to do is, you might not see a lot, I'm going to tackle the underneath side. Basically, everything that I couldn't get to the first time, I've basically tacked just the top. And then we'll come up and we'll tack along the side here to add a bit more strength to it. So, that's all them done up. I've just tapped along the top there, and the car's a hell of a lot stronger now. Like, it actually moved. So I'm having to guess it just wasn't tacked enough. But there's some nice tacks. There's a couple of little stitch wires just on the side of bars and that they're not too difficult to get to. So if you need to take them off, they're nice and easy to get to. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump over to the subframe, drop the steering rack off it, and then go and get the Metro steering rack. And basically put that one on that. Just based on the fact that I want it to sit a bit better in the actual steering rack, where the steering rack connects to it. Currently with the MGF one, it sits too high, and I'd have to make the hole bigger, and then I'd have to find something to plug it up with, which is just a nightmare we don't need. So I'm hoping that the Metro steering rack fits perfectly, but we'll have a look. So, as you just saw, we've just taken the MGF steering rack off and the Metro steering rack. So now we're going to crack on with putting this on. I've already started putting it on just to see if it fitted. It's the same bolt holes and everything. I've got to try and find some bolts for the tracker ends. They'll all be replaced. All the bushes on the MG subframes will be replaced. All the ones on the rear and all the ones on the front, because a lot of them. I can see, I'm pretty sure the gentleman who bought the subframes on said the car was an MOT failure. I can see why, because none of the bushes are any good. Like, all the ball joints and lower ball joints are all gone and things. So that's why whenever you see me moving the car, there's like it arcs and moves. Well, to start with, nothing's tight, and second of all the ball joints are gone on it. So it'll be new ball joints all round. I'm going to see if I can get the lower arms bushes pushed out and new ones pushed in, because the lower arms are really expensive for some bizarre reason. So we'll see what we can do with them. I'm hoping I can just buy new ones. It might just be easier because I need 2 for the back and 2 for the front. So what we're going to do now is we're going to crack on trying to fit this Metro steering rack to it. It might be the fact I might have to try and get the track rod ends off this one and basically put them onto the Metro steering rack. Should be the same. My stepdad did say yes the other day about them being different ratios, because obviously it's a sports car, so maybe like 3 turns equals to 2 turns of a wheel or something. So it might not work. It might not be, this steering rack may be no good at all, and we may have to come back to this and modify this one. I'm hoping it does. It's still a small car. Yeah, it's got big hoof and wheels on it, but I shouldn't see it causing too much. It'll be a bit of an animal on like trying to get into spaces and that, but good way to build up your muscles, I suppose. So what we're going to do now is we're going to carry on with this Metro steering rack. Like I said, I've already bolted on just to make sure it sat in the right place, which it does, which I'm very happy with. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and bolt in the upper arm mounting points, or the track rod arm mounting points that actually sit on the hub, which obviously turn it, and then basically I'll try and find some bolts. There's got to be some bolts in this workshop out somewhere. They come off the cars, so they've got to be somewhere. So let's get cracking. So basically whilst I was under there, what I was doing, I don't know how much the camera caught, was basically re-tapping 2 of the holes there. The bolt holes line up, but I'm not sure what's happened. It's a rover, I wasn't expecting them to go. If they continue to be a pain, I will just cut them off and basically just make my own, put some new ones there. Might end up doing that, but for now we're just using the original holes that are there on the original rubber mount. Also, what you saw me do was just remove all the rest of the lines. Basically they've been a pain in my arse for the last few weeks now, so they're now out of the way. The only problem was the fuel line was still full of fuel, so I've got to wait a couple of minutes before I slide back underneath the car. Well, basically what we're going to do now is I'm just going to push this subframe back into place, get it actually into place perfectly fine. Lift it up, bolt it in at the front, and then pull it up a bit further to bolt it in at the back. Once it's all bolted back up, all the shocks and that are reattached, we will then basically drop it back down onto its wheels, move to the inside of the car and throw the steering column on, and we're going to see where everything everything sits. I'm hoping it'll sit quite well. Obviously the plastic cup thing that I want to try and keep isn't on at the minute, but if I can just get the steering rack to actually go in the hole, it'll pretty much tell me if it's going to work or not. The steering rack does seem a little bit stiffer than that one. That one's quite free moving, where this one's quite stiff, so we may have to come up to some solution. Like, I know the tyres will be smaller, so that'll be alright. But I can't, the only problem is I can't really drop to a set of 15s because the backs won't go around a 15 because of the torsion arms that are there. So it's a bit of a up and down at the minute. I'm unsure what's going on, but we're going to carry on. We're going to fit this subframe back in so the car can actually sit back on its wheels. It's this one and the rear one's got to come out again. But what my plan is for next week is to basically see if I can basically get everything in, and hopefully we've ordered the engine mounts by then. So they might be here, they might not be. So if not, I've got a new bracket to make on the rear. So basically we've got to make a bracket whilst it's in situ, so I know it's right and it doesn't move at all. It can't really move anywhere, but we have to make sure. So that'll be next week. So this week we're just going to carry on plodding along with this. There's quite a lot of modifications needed to the subframe to get drive shafts on. I forgot to say in the other episode. The way the drive shafts set are actually quite low. Obviously the engine was just placed in. So I'm hoping once we get it in and we actually get it sat and centered right, they're pretty much in line. The half shaft that's on that gearbox is actually quite long. So we may have to sort of, as the subframe comes across, we may have to dive it down and basically make it out of box again, and basically just so the drive shaft's got clearance. I thought it was going to foul the other end, but it doesn't look like it will. So it's just going to be, a lot of pulling it out, putting it back in. So that's why I was just trying to sort them bolts at the back. They seem to go in now. The one's still a bit tight, but there's not really much more I can do. I'll slap some copper grease on it and see if that helps. But instead, if it carries on, what we'll do is we'll cut them gullies out that I've got them on, and we'll basically make some more, put some new caption nuts in, and basically put our own nuts in there. Basically, we can position them perfectly then, so I can basically put them on, lift the subframe up where it sits comfortably, we're done. So, it's cracking to putting the subframe back in. By the looks of it, neither steering rack really fits well. That one still rubs where that one rubs. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the MGF steering rack back in, but I'm going to slightly adjust the bracket. Basically I'm going to give it the ability so I can twist it. If I can twist it so it sits in the middle of that hole, I'll be happy. It'll be a lot easier to actually make or buy something that I can actually fill the hole with. So I think that's what we're going to do. So before we actually bolt it up, I'll probably drop it back down. We'll put that steering rack back on, and we'll basically go from there. The thing is, they're exactly the same, apart from the Metro one sort of sits like that once it's in, whereas that one sits more sort of on a more direct angle. I was hoping the Metro one would fit, but obviously because it's the subframe's slightly different at the back, as everyone likes to keep telling me, the Metro is the same. Well, that's understandable, but there's something different about that mountain than there is something else. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to drop it back down before we carry on. I'm not going to drop it all the way at the car, there's no point. I can do it from the back side of it, and we're going to put that one back on. just saw what we're going to be, So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be getting the Metro to be able to sit on its own, basically be able to steer from the steering wheel, not by pushing the wheels. A couple of things that need to modify, but I'm hoping not too much, but we'll get cracking with that in a minute. Well, what I first want to say is a huge thank you to everyone that's been watching, a huge thank you. It's been amazing to hear people's comments and opinions and things like that, especially the people that are going, wow, I didn't think you could actually do it. Then some people are going, wow, it's an amazing feeling. Obviously, a lot of YouTubers know what I mean. And I'm super happy that a lot of people are doing it. I met 2 fans, one on Friday and one yesterday, and I was just taken back in a way. I was just taken back for the fact that someone actually recognised me off the internet. I didn't think that would ever happen, but I'm dead chuffed it has. Roadmap for the car. I'll probably explain every 2 or 3 months where we're heading and what we're doing. So today, I want to get the Metro turning on the steering wheel by itself. A couple of weeks time, hopefully the engine mounts will be here so we can get the engine in and get that mounted, modify the engine bars. There's still a little bit of work to be done on front and rear subframes. There's some brackets on the rear and there's some brackets on the front to be made, but I don't need them to put the engine in. And once they're in, we can start things like putting all the wires back in. I know we won't, we'll have to cut the roof off first. So we'll have to put the X frame in first, and then we have to cut the roof off, so basically we know where everything can go. Anything that had to run through the roof obviously can't anymore, but I'm pretty sure there wasn't any. So then will be things like ECUs and fuel tanks. I've got to go for a standalone ECU. I'm still looking for one, so if anyone knows anyone that can help, or possibly put me in a line with someone who's willing to help, or someone that's selling one, or just something, just drop it in the comments, or leave it, yeah, just drop it in the comments and I'll follow it up from there. I've spoken to a few people, but I've not been able to find anything definite. But the main thing, it needs to be tunable and run an alpha engine. A lot of them are saying they can't run them. So if someone knows something, I'd be super grateful. Also, I'm in the market for a racing fuel tank. It will need its own fuel tank. I'm looking for a 20 to 30 litre fuel tank, preferably with a sender and a pump. If I have to buy a pump, that's fine, but if not, I just need one to mock up, even if it's just to mock up, even if it's just to lend off someone, just so I can mock it in place and get it going. But apart from that, we are cracking on at full steam. I think we're doing well. I've had a bit of work in over the last couple of days. I had to do a clutch on the Mini, which you'll see on the channel soon, and there will be part of the van and my personal car will be in the next couple of days to do some bits and bobs on. But apart from that, I am super enjoying doing this journey, and glad you lot are joining me with it. So let's get cracking and getting this Metro turn on its own steering wheel.